Welcome to the first episode, the first podcast of Eurofile. I am your host, Mayur Goswami, and you will be seeing this face quite often, right? In this particular episode, we are going to concentrate on the job seekers. We have an HR who happens to be the recruitment head of a company. So we have Nidhi with us, who is heading Indus Net Technologies as its recruitment head, and you will find a lots of tips and tricks needed for the job seekers out there to go ahead, get that dream job of yours. We will be talking regarding the market. We will be talking regarding a lot of new concepts that's there in the market, especially when it comes to the job seekers and what they really need to know to go ahead and get a job. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into the podcast, talk to Nidhi. Let's understand everything there is to know regarding the job market. Let's go. Nidhi, can you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi Mayuk, thanks for having me, join this podcast. I'm very glad to join this session and I'm very honored. So, hi guys, I'm Nidhi and I am representing Indus Net Technologies. We call it INT and I am, heading talent acquisition here and I'm sure you must be knowing about INT. We are, IT service company having 850 professionals, that serves the, very, enterprise clients, and we have consultative and collaborative approach towards, the work that we do.
To start off with, maybe we can just quickly get to know you a bit better for the audience because they would love to know more about your background. From where did you come, get into this zone? Because you have been in this industry for quite some time, as I recall, and
Mhm.
it'll be really great to know about your background and how things got started for you and how you're here.
Yeah, sure. I come with a very diversified. I'm an HR professional and I have over 15 years of experience in this field. And major experience, lies in general staffing or, the global IT professional services, and which includes handling the clients across India, USA, Australia, and New Zealand. So my core strength lies in managing the cross-functional teams and providing the talent acquisition solutions, setting up system process, the people management, client relationship handling, campus hiring. So it has been a very enriching experience throughout, and I started my journey from India staffing, then slowly I moved to the USA staffing, then Asia Pacific, and I'm again back to the India staffing. So if you would ask me what is close to my heart, so of course the India's staffing is something that always very very close to my heart, and that is something by where my most of my interest lies on, because
That's
that
interesting.
there is a very good connection and engagement when we talk to the people, right?
Right.
And we share a lot of interest, and it is we can easily build connection over things. Like, let's say if I'm talking to someone who is from north, so so it's a very easily we talk about food, and if you're talking
Right.
to someone, let's say from someone from eastern side, and we are talking someone from south, so we can pick up things and we can talk about, and the conversation starts, and we can easily connect.
That's true. That's really true. That's amazing to know the basics, nitty gritty of you, because these things will actually help us, reach out to a lot of audience. Because most of the time, whenever we're talking about freshers or job seekers, right? So they have a very bad notion in their head that they think that HRs are mostly not approachable, or most of the time
Mm-hmm.
we are not
Mm-hmm.
supposed to approach the HR unless we're looking for an increment or maybe something
Mm-hmm.
else. So it's quite important for people to know that HRs are approachable almost always, and they are actually the fun people in the companies, and it's quite important when it comes to building the companies from ground up, right?
Oh
So
yes,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it is a very common notion that people carry, and somewhere I would say that it is not about that they're not approachable. It's about the availability of time, because on an average, if you see that in any company, you say there are very few folks in HR they are supporting. Let's say if there are 1,000 people employees, and how many HR people that you see, so that the people that they manage, there's a good you know. Team, big number of team that they are managing, so it's difficult to connect with them every day. But yes, by you can efficiently manage that too if you have a system and technology in place, because technology plays a major role when we talk about the candidates. If you have a strong ATS, applicant tracking system, so that really helps you to connect with your candidate in a very efficient way. So that's something
That's
INT focus on that too, the candidate experience.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So I'll get back to one of the questions that I have been pondering to ask you for quite some time. What is the toughest thing that you guys have to endure in your professional life, right? The toughest thing in your profession in terms of handling the candidates.
Yeah, I mean, if I take the recent examples, if I talk about what recent challenges that any HR profession is facing. So one important thing is talent shortage. When I say talent shortage, I'm not saying the resource shortage, the people
Hmm.
shortage. It's a talent, that what exactly that what companies are looking for, the skills that companies are looking for. So it's a kind of that, it's a shortage that
Hmm.
companies has faced in post COVID time.
Hmm.
And when we talk about the full time employment, most of the positions, the critical positions are uh, you know uh, not filled, in the way they want it to be filled, and or it's a time gap is there. To solve this problem, that we have to come up with very creative recruiting strategies. So
Hmm.
any traditional method like simple, you post a job and you will get lot many referrals or applications, that doesn't work right now. So that is one challenge. And
Hmm.
also, it has been nothing, it's not nothing new, it existed before you, but we recently faced that very much when we are hiring. There are many passive candidates. There are
Hmm.
many research talks about that there are uh, at least 80 plus 87% people, those who are willing to make a change in their job. If they are presented a good opportunity, they are ready to look at and they want to make a change. But when it comes to active workforce that want to, that they have applied in any job post, or they are looking aggressively a job, that is just a 30%. So reaching out to the passive
Okay.
people is another challenge, because these people have not applied to any of the job postings. They are not available in any job boards. So that is, that's another challenge, and
So
also
so
the competition.
technically, yeah. So technically, if I understand passive candidates, by that you mean people who are not applying or who are not looking for a change, right? So
Like they have not,
technically,
they are
yeah.
looking for job change. There's like two things here. Let's say I am a candidate and I have
Mhm.
not posted my resume to the traditional job boards,
Right, right.
and I'm not applying to open job postings that
Hmm.
comes my way. But
Hmm.
if someday a recruiter calls me and say, I have so and so opportunity and looks like your resume seems to be a very good match, and the conversation begins, so yes, I would like to consider, I would like to explore. No, so
Right.
that makes me a passive candidate, because I have
Okay.
not posted my resume, I have not even prepared my resume is also not ready, but someone when calls me and present a very good job in front of me, that shows up something I'm looking for. It's a kind of a challenging role, very enriching role, and matches with my skills. So I would want to look at, maybe I'll now spend some time and make my resume. So that makes me a passive candidate. So if you see in current market, there are over 70% people, those who are passive job seekers. So they are not
Interesting.
aggressively looking, they're not actively available, but when you reach out to them, talk to them, and then it is part of the recruitment strategies, that how do you reach out to the passive candidates. Yeah.
Right,
So,
right. Because of course, since they're not present in any of the job boards, so it's quite interesting to know that how you reach out to these people. Because
oh yeah.
presently, like if I'm talking about myself, like if I'm looking for a job right now, right, I'm not
Hmm.
in any of the job boards. So technically,
Right.
I'm thinking that you're maybe coming to me through referrals, to through people from, when you get to know about my profile, from my friends or maybe your
Or
colleagues
maybe
who
social
at work.
media. Social media, that is the
Right,
one, the
LinkedIn.
major tool. LinkedIn, like LinkedIn,
Right,
Facebook, Twitter.
right.
Yes, of course, LinkedIn is one of the the biggest tool right now. If
Hmm.
this, they say that if you are not available in LinkedIn, then you don't exist
That's
professionally. So
that's true. That's true.
so yes, so that's the way, and the recruiter has to make an effort to
Hmm.
to reach out to those people. So that
That's
is one. And
interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah. Please,
also
please
that
continue.
there is a like a it's a very much increased competition right now, when there's a shortage of talent, as I was mentioning. So then uh, there is a kind of a competition goes within the companies, that how to attract these talented resources, because the pool is smaller, right? And then we and as a company, you need to stand out from the competition and ensure that the right people want to work with you. So
Right.
that is these are the challenges.
Recently, that we have been seeing a lot of companies firing people, right? Especially the big companies. When we talk about the Amazons and the Googles of the world, so they have
Hmm.
been firing people a lot, and like they claim that most of the profiles were passive profiles. They were not active profiles. They were in the same position for a long, long time. So they wanted to
Correct.
go ahead and
Hmm.
they want to churn it a bit and see how they can utilize the workforce in a better way. So
Hmm.
what is the thing according to you? Do you believe the candidates need to know or need to do in during these tough times?
Yeah, and first of all, it is a very unfortunate situation that has when someone gets laid off. We all need to be empathetic towards the situation, because they're suddenly losing a job. And
Right,
it's because of, not, I would always say to the candidate, it's not because of that you are not a skill. It is because of the companies who hired, they didn't plan well. They didn't, their planning and their future, the goals were not clear, maybe, or their you know uh, they they didn't anticipate it well advanced, and it is somewhere, uh, it's a combined collateral, the damage that had happened. So
hmm,
candidates, uh, those who lost the job, I would suggest, they really really need to think over it, that what they could have done differently, what other skills they could have upgraded their self, and also, I mean, there are many jobs available too. If when we are talking about the technology wise, there are many many companies, they are still hiring, like INT is hiring.
right,
We haven't stopped hiring people, and there are other many companies too. So look for the right opportunity for you, and reach out to your connections, reach out to your managers, take the feedback that you want to take from the people, take be open for the learnings, and brush up your skills, so you will find a job. That's really really it's a time that has to pass, and don't limit yourself from just applying for a job. Usually what happens, we look at the requirement, we apply and send our resume, that's it. No, you need to again make yourself prepare uh, for the interview, and make yourself acquaintance with that company you have applied for, who are going to be your would be peers, or maybe if by some references, you reach out to the recruiter, ask few questions. By this way, somewhere, let's say, if you have applied for that job, and uh, someone can give your recommendation because you have already reached out to some of the people, or you have a personal referral as well. So by just applying a job will not get you a job, a success. So there are
Right.
many ways that it is, you work on your resume. Your resume is not just uh, a it's not a fixed document that you cannot edit.
Hmm.
Look at the points that you can add, and which will make your resume outstanding, and that reflects your key skills and which you can bring into a company which they are looking
Hmm.
for. So don't be afraid to modify your wording or switching around key terms, or the some bullet points. Make your resume
Hmm.
interesting, and make your LinkedIn as an interesting profile, and explore it. This is a one of the best tool that is available. So utilize it at best.
Right. That's interesting. Just coming back to one of the points you just made, that uh, at times people are laid off because the companies are not making a proper planning, right? They have not planned it
Hmm.
right over a longer
Hmm.
period of time. But do you think it's relevant to the bigger companies like Google, Amazon, or is it just relevant to the smaller companies? And how does
Yeah,
this
it
work?
is. Yeah, it is for any company, right? Let's say, for example, like even an INT, we look at that, whatever past data, what is our, the past hiring has been, how we are getting the requirements, what kind of talent we have been hiring over these year, and what kind of requirement that we can project. How many people are being, leaving organization voluntarily,
Right.
not being
Right.
laid off. So when
Hmm.
when you have this data,
Hmm.
when you have been following your numbers closely and your company growth, and you have planned properly, so I mean, you will not overhire. So why you have
Hmm.
to lay off? Because someday you overhire people, right? So I mean,
Right.
that we can be little, it may sound that we are following the traditional method, but that also helps sometime. Don't overgo. You need not to, like, it's an old saying, right? Don't overgo when you don't earn well, right? So be, that's the
Right.
same things, right?
Right.
If you do not have a vision, if you do not have a proper planning, so
Mhm.
these things are bound to happen.
Makes sense. And when it comes to the candidates, as someone who has worked in an IT industry, I also personally feel the candidates must have some kind of a mechanism, right? That they need to upgrade themselves always, because we see most
Correct.
of the time. Because I was one of them myself.
Mm-hmm.
I When you get into a particular job, after a certain point of time, when you're doing the same repetitive job, you become a bit passive. So it makes you think that, okay, fine, the things are going well, it might not ever be a bad situation because the company is stable, but it could change any moment, because that's how the things have overturned post COVID, mainly, I believe.
Yeah, because growth stops when your learning stops. Let's
Right.
say you find a job, so that's not end
Hmm.
of the world. That's you,
Right.
it's not that your target achieved, done.
Hmm.
No, that's where the journey begins. That's where
Right.
the learning starts. You will learn to talk to the teams, and if your learning hasn't stopped, your growth will not stop.
That's true.
It you may have some bad instances, like you might be laid off, from a
Hmm.
job, but you will find another job, you will find another, learning for yourself. So growth and learning goes hand in hand. So that is, and
True.
especially in a, when we are talking about in a technology industry,
Hmm.
so, and it's true for any industry, but in
Hmm.
technology side, you can't afford, this is something is your bread and butter, learning is your bread and butter.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, since the technology is actually coming back to the point that you just made, technology is rapidly evolving, right? So, right now,
Right.
every like 3 years, we are seeing some new technology coming in, and recruiters are going ahead and trying to find the right person to come and fit in that particular role. And most of the time, what happens is we do not find the right person who can maybe
Hmm.
sit in that position and take over, lead the position, and maybe build a team around it, right? So
Yes,
in
yes.
such scenario, what do you think is the most important or the most valuable thing that a candidate can do, so that he
Mhm.
can fit into a role. Let's take an example of Web 3, right? So Web 3.0 is up and coming right now. So
Mhm.
we have been seeing a lot of people inquiring about Web 3.0, and most of the time, what I understand is we do not have good Web 3.0 trainers in India, and so technically the training becomes a bit problematic. So in
Mhm.
such a scenario, what a candidate can do so that he can, go ahead and get into a completely new role, and
Mhm.
also if you can add a bit more on the other skills and other aspects that he or she can work on. Let's assume that the candidate has been laid off, right, and he's not from a
Mhm.
very well to do company. Say he's not from
Mhm.
Google, Amazon, he's from a mediocre company, and
Mhm.
small MSMEs maybe.
I will
So
I will
what can he do?
suggest, yeah, I will suggest first find your strength, as
Right.
a candidate, you see that where your strength lies,
Hmm.
and what are your strong points, what are the key skills where you have, uh, uh, where you have proven yourself, or whether you think that you can, learn and achieve more. So first
Right.
list down those, and then work towards that. Learning all the skills will not help you. Learning by, all the skills and trying to, attend all the trainings will not help you. So reach
Hmm.
out to your managers, reach out to your, if you are already working or you have already worked, and take feedback. As I always say, be open for the feedback, where your shortcomings has been, what are the areas that you think you could have done better, where there's scope for improvement. We all need to learn and we all need to get better. So you need to reach out to the
True.
people and just, try to understand that what are the gaps they have seen, especially your, if your immediate managers with whom you have worked, and
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be a negative conversation. It can be a very positive conversation where you are talking about your strength and the challenges that you faced in the previous role. And
Right.
then once you have identified your strength, once you have identified your, shortcomings, then it becomes very easy, and then you need to, upgrade yourself accordingly tech wise, whatever skills that you think that, will help you in the future. And also, uh, uh, if required, there are many courses available, many trainings available, like Yodafy is one of that that we all know, right, that is helping, people to be project ready, and
Right. Right.
we have experienced that firsthand. So why
Hmm.
not, and uh, that will you can be part of the sum of the projects, and the live
Hmm.
projects too, and that will, give you a good exposure. So that will
Right.
help you. And also, be prepared for the interviews, lot
Hmm.
many times I have seen, as an HR profession, and people come with the scripted answers, because
Hmm.
that doesn't okay, you can be correct in your answers, right? You can be right when you're explaining your work and your strengths and, overall profile, but
Hmm.
that doesn't stand out. That makes you sound a kind of, very scripted and little boring if I
A
would
little
say,
boring. Yeah. Definitely.
when
Definitely. Yes.
when as a HR person, when we talk to the people, we are talking to many people, right? I'm
Right.
interacting with lot many candidates, but
Absolutely.
there, but I meet some of the candidates, those who come up with a very creative way of explaining their work. So, you know that is stuck with us, when we are making a hiring decision. So I have two people, I have to hire one person. So there is a one person who was just giving me a very, stacked answers, and there is another candidate who was very creative, so
Right.
to learn those skills, it is about, how you are getting better day by day.
Hmm.
um, I- I'll give you a very interesting example. Whenever we ask someone, tell me about some of your, strengths or two of your
Right.
strengths. One of the very common answer that I receive is like, I'm a hardworking, I'm a committed person.
That's
So
common among. I guess that's one of the first questions that Google shows too, right?
okay, yes, because all these students, all this, the college pass, I don't blame them. I really
Yeah.
respect, because they have done that research, right? They have
Right.
made an effort to go on the, the interview related questions and
Hmm.
on the answers. But okay, fine, now you know this is the right answer, okay,
Hmm.
but what is your contribution to that? Okay, you
Mm-hmm.
are a hardworking, so give me an example of your hard work where you put in some efforts which was more than required, or and much more than anyone else could do. You are a
Mm-hmm.
committed, so give me an example of your commitment. What was that situation? What are those instances, right? So
Right. Right.
this is something, I mean, it's very very important how you
Mm-hmm.
prepare yourself for the interview, how you are communicating to the interviewer. And
Mm-hmm.
also when you are applying for job, I mean, uh, Mayuk, I have seen some of the people sending just a resume, not even mentioning subject for which
Okay,
position they
that's
are applying for, right?
right.
They get my email ID, and I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
many other HR people also face this. People get their email ID, you're applying
Mm-hmm.
for a job, you have not even mentioned properly in your subject line, forget about the email, you know and then you have not even mentioned what you are applying for, what your profile is look like. Where is the
Mm-hmm.
cover letters? A cover letter plays a major role now, at least 4 or 5 lines about what you have achieved, or what is your profile is, talking about your key skills, because that's what the hiring manager looks at. They don't look at the
Right.
proper resume. They don't have time to go over 3 4 pages resume.
Mm-hmm.
So
This is
these are
quite
some.
interesting. Yeah, I'll just quickly interrupt a bit because I wanted to know something about the difference between a resume and a cover letter. Because most of the time I have seen people confusing and interchanging both the words, right? And when we talk about cover letters, people think it's just an encompassing letter which is placed before the resume, saying that this is my name and this is what I do. Please look at my resume. So exactly what is cover letter and what one person, say a job seeker, must do to, maybe he's reaching out to you, then how should it look?
In a very simple word, I would say it's a synopsis of your whole resume, right? But
Okay.
let's say you are applying for a job. Look, I would advise people, to make editable cover letter. Let's If you have a job in front of you, you're applying for a particular job, so look at what are the required skills in that particular, read out that JD. So
Mm-hmm.
based on that JD, what skills that you can bring in, that should be there in the cover. Of course it should be there in the resume, but resume is a very detailed version of your profile. It includes your education qualification, it includes your strength, weaknesses. It talks about the projects that you might have done, talks
Right.
about the skills that you have gone through, and talks about some certification you have achieved. But that doesn't need to be there in the cover letter. Cover letter needs
Mm-hmm.
to be talking about your key skills, the skills
Mm-hmm.
that you can bring in for that job that hiring manager has posted. The hiring manager is
Right.
looking for the particular skills, so read that JD, look
Mm-hmm.
at what manager is looking at. So based on that JD, what you can provide, what you
Mm-hmm.
have those skills. So make it simple and make it to the points, and that will help. Hiring manager will look at that cover letter, and based on that, then they will be interested to looking at your resume. So cover letter
Mm-hmm.
is a one step that for going towards that hiring manager looks at your resume.
Whatever is there in the JD, maybe a particular recruitment head or an HR is not maybe looking exactly at the JD that has been given. Like, for example, the JD might show that you need to have 10 different skills, but maybe I
Hmm.
have just four, and remaining
Hmm.
six can be learned on the job. So,
Right.
do I become eligible to be a part of it, or part of your organization, if I have just four of the top 10 skills that you
Yes.
guys are looking
Yes.
for?
Yes. That's why not. Yes. Yes.
Right. So,
Usually,
yeah.
there are certain skills that are must have, and there are
Hmm.
some skills that are good to have.
Hmm.
Right. So when you're as a candidate, when you're applying, be honest.
Hmm.
So what must have skills that you have, and
Hmm.
what are the good to have skills that you have, or if not, that you can learn.
Right. Right, makes sense. Like, maybe the candidate needs to be more open because most of the time people just lie blatantly in their resume, right?
You will be
And
gone.
yeah, that is something that these people know to understand, know to, like, they should understand that the HRs can actually catch if you are making a if you're lying in your resume, right? So that is
That's
something
easy.
most,
That's
that's
easy.
very easy,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's the most, I guess that's the most easier thing to do. So yeah, so coming back to one of the questions that I have with me right here. So, what do you think? How is the trend? Like, not more than thinking, I would ask you, what do you think where the IT industry is going in the next 10 years? But this has to be in correlation to a job seeker. Like, if I am looking for a job and I am in the job market, so what should I learn to be relevant in the industry for the next 10 years? Because as we had a discussion few moments before, right? Things are changing rapidly. So,
Mhm.
what do I need to do so that I can stay relevant in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, it is IT industry. If you see that it has seen many phases, right? Many recessions, many rebounds. There will be time. Then suddenly we have seen the post-COVID. Lot of things has changed.
Right.
So I wouldn't say it is a recession. In my opinion, it's a correction. It's so.
Definitely, even I feel so. It's a correction more than recession because
Yeah,
in the
it's
last
Mhm.
1 year, I have seen people's like the candidates who have applied to various industries, right? So I have seen
Mhm.
their income skyrocket. I have seen
Oh
people
yes.
who have been maybe earning around 7, 8 LPA annually, like, and they have gone to 25 LPA all of a sudden.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
when the correction happened, now they are down to 12 LPA. So I guess it's
Oh,
more
yes,
of a correction. Yeah.
yes, yes. It's a correction, and it's still a candidate-driven market for the hot skills and for the the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Talent, as I said,
Mm-hmm.
not everyone is talent. If you are a talent, there
Mm-hmm.
are people looking out for you. HRs are chasing you, right? So don't
Mm-hmm.
worry. You will find a job, and you will be relevant. So for
Right.
that, all your efforts should be there, to be a talent,
Mm-hmm.
towards your learning, and keep watching what is happening, what are the trends
Mm-hmm.
are changing, and what are the skills, how the skills are evolving. and
Mm-hmm.
and it won't be right on my part if I say learn this skill, that skill, because that is
Mm-hmm.
something based on your interest and your and best what you have done in
Definitely.
your education part too. So but
Right.
my only advice would be, be relevant. You need to be
Mm-hmm.
relevant, you need to
Mm-hmm.
learn, you need to keep upgrading yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And finding a job shouldn't be your not the end goal, right? Just
Right.
finding it, of course we all need to find a job, but that but yours, uh, it, that is not the only thing that you should be looking at. You should be looking at the broader picture, that what else you can learn. Even
Mm-hmm.
in INT, we always appreciate this when someone wants to learn different skill and contribute beyond their work, beyond their
Mm-hmm.
career. So I mean, find a place where you can find a career growth for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a diversified background, when you have a learning attitude, you will find your way.
That's true. The attitude is quite important, as we put it, right? Because
Right,
most people do not
right,
have the right attitude towards the job, and especially towards getting and finding new jobs. So that's
correct.
very important. But
And
honestly, yeah, yeah, yeah.
when you say the attitude wise, there's one more thing, like we are uh, it was a very old way of recruitment, what I have heard always, when people would send a thank you note post interview, post
Okay.
offer given to them, post job to, or whoever helped them to find a job
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. These things go a long way. The gratitude, that is something. If you know uh, when there was a little bit of madness there, when people were shopping around with one offer to two offers, so forget about writing a thank you email. People
Mm-hmm.
will be ghosting on recruiters, they will be just
Right.
suddenly vanished, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these things don't help as a
Mm-hmm.
as a professional. And this
Interesting.
professional and gratitude goes a long way.
Yeah, the humility is always the best way to have best thing to have, actually, because most people don't have humility these days. But
Yeah.
how does IndusNet deal with ghosting? Because since you brought the topic up, it'd be very interesting to know, because different companies have different ways of doing things, right? Because I just saw one of the interviews of Kunal Shah, where he was
Mhm.
telling that to not, so that people do not ghost them when after they join Cred maybe. So they
Mm-hmm.
give them expensive stuff, like they give them a MacBook, etc., just to keep them, so that the person becomes a bit loyal. They understand, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this person is giving me a MacBook, so maybe this person are way well off. So maybe I'll just join, maybe a couple of lakhs less than the other company, but maybe I'll have a better life here. So it's all
Mm-hmm.
about the mindset, right? They try to play with the mindset. So what does
Mm-hmm.
INT does?
So, more than getting into the blame game, what candidate did and what the recruiter did or what talent acquisition team did, we believe in, as I said, we believe in our learning, our lessons. So
Mhm.
it has happened many times when candidate ghosted us,
Mhm.
and so we look back the data, we look back in many situations that what we could have done better
Mhm.
to make a better candidate experience. Were we
Right.
able to talk to them about INT and INT growth and our the were we able to tell them the branding experience? Have Were we able to do that? Were we able to tell them what our vision is, what is our future plan is, how is our growth plan is, right? And even were we able to show them a career growth if they would be joining this company, right? So that is one part. And when we
Mhm.
once we see that we did all these things, and then also that candidate ghosted on us, uh,
Mhm.
usually it is if we are not able to get hold of the candidate, that's something we can't do about it. But
Mhm.
at INT, and personally I feel that I go back to them after
Right.
some point.
Mhm.
And we have done that, and I personally reached out to a lot of candidates and checked with them.
Mhm.
And it's not about that I'm asking them to rejoin, it's that I'm asking them about their experience. We make sure that we take we talk about the client experience, similarly we talk about the candidate experience. That is very, very important for us. We take feedback on a whole recruitment process, the interview process, how was their interaction with the interviewers, the panel. So we
Mhm.
make sure that at all steps during the interview process they were engaged, well engaged, and they were felt important, and they realized that that this is a important job they are applying for. So I personally go back to them, and we as a team also want to know that what we could have done better. So that's all we can
Mhm.
do, Mayuk, as well, I think. And it's just like uh, we learn our part of it,
Mhm.
and giving the gifts and all, that is something I don't think
That's too
is it.
cost. Yeah, that's too costly things
Not
to
even the
do.
cost, it is not a sum. We are hiring employees, those who will be part of our growth journey, right?
Mhm.
So by this way, I mean, if someone is not aligned with our vision, we wish them luck.
Right.
So.
Right. But do you think it's quite important for a candidate, say a fresher who is already fishing for multiple roles, like, right? So he might
Mhm.
have a role from an MNC, and then he has IndusNet coming up with a better offer. But most of
Mhm.
the time, even the better offer gets declined because it's an MNC, and maybe their parent is more inclined towards that person
Yeah.
working in an MNC. So in
Mhm.
that case, does explaining them the vision of what IndusNet is going to be in the next 10 years going to help them, or most of the
Yeah,
time you
it
just
does
let?
help. Yeah, yes, it
Okay.
does help, because when you are part of MNCs, definitely they have a lot of things to offer. But what they will not get a diversified experience and exposure that they will get in a growing company like us.
Mhm.
They are just one small part of the huge team. Here there is
Absolutely.
a visibility to their work, and they have
Mhm.
opportunity to explore different areas which beyond their role. So this is something, it helps if someone really is looking for a career growth, want to make a
Mhm.
difference, so they get it, they understand it.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting.
And we
So,
have the people
yeah.
coming from the MNCs, and in fact, there have been many, many cases, those who couldn't join us for whatever reason, and they joined MNCs. They came back to us. Is there an opportunity for us? We really want to join
Oh,
you
I'm pretty
back.
much sure about that because I personally am invested in IndusNet as most of the people would relate. But yeah, because I personally understand that the working culture in an MNC and the working culture in growing companies which are up and coming right now and which are profitable, most important, that's the most important word, right? That profitable companies. So
Hmm.
you learn a lot. Technically in an MNC there are multiple formats, and unfortunately or fortunately there are multiple groups, right? divide you into various segments. You can even get into a call center. You might not realize you might be a service desk
Mhm.
analyst. So yeah, I totally understand when people come back to IndusNet. And of course, IndusNet has a very better digital reach than most of the MNCs out there, right?
Right.
So I understand why people come back, because as we are talking about right things right now, that content is always something that when people see more of it, so people
Mhm.
realize, okay, maybe this company is doing better, maybe I can go there and explore my career a bit.
Mhm.
So that's quite important. So
Right.
adding to that, adding on top of that, whatever you just said us right now, how many in general does INT hire in a year? Like when I'm talking about, let's not get into the directorial positions, the decision maker positions. I'm talking about more of a manager level and the fresher level. In general, how
Yeah,
many does INT
yeah,
hire?
yeah. In general, we I mean, 400 to 500 people in general. And
Mhm.
right now we are in a global expansion path. We are to
Right.
hire 2,500 people in the 3 years.
Mhm.
And also we are key focused on the leadership. We have done the leadership hiring, and we have been hiring people in the
Mhm.
leadership. And we have a goal to invest at least 100 crore in the whole process. So
Interesting.
yes, I mean, for us, it's not a stopping. It's not a
Mhm.
slowdown at all. And we are scaling up our deliveries. We
Mhm.
are aggressively adding new clients, and we are recalibrating our energies and creating the best leadership pool. And
Mhm.
yes, in the tech side, marketing side, analytics side, be it sales
Mhm.
side, consulting side. So yes, we
Mhm.
have our 3x growth blueprint ready.
We just had COVID, right?
Hmm.
And it was devastating for most of us. Like I personally had a huge personal loss, and I know a lot of people who have had a huge personal loss during COVID times. So, what do you think, or what do you feel, how the job market has shaped from maybe end of 2019 to till right now? We are almost in December, right? 2022. So,
Hmm.
right, what is the difference between 2019 2022 and in between the COVID times? How does the job market look, and how has it evolved?
Yeah, it has evolved, of course. Yes, the job market has evolved, but it has opened a lot of new dimensions to the post COVID. There are a lot of companies, they never thought about the work from home culture. Personally, I would tell you that before INT, I had been in remote roles.
Mhm.
7 8 years I have supported teams remotely. uh,
Mhm.
so for me it was not a different thing, but I would always hear from him, oh, how do you do that? You work from home. Oh, how do you manage in teams? How difficult it must be. So that was kind of
Mhm.
a strange look I would always get. But now
Mhm.
that's a reality. People are working from office, people are working from home, they're equally treated. But the challenges that company has to face, that how to make a balance here, and how to engage remote workforce, how to make sure that they are included. If there are certain teams working from office, there are certain teams working remotely, they get equal engagement. So that
Mhm.
is what is one thing
Mhm.
that companies have equipped themselves to manage a remote workforce too, and even
Mhm.
hire. First of all, the now we don't think about hiring remote people, right? So earlier it was like, if you are willing to come to office, then only this is the opportunity for you, but not
Right.
now. But the another shift I have seen, that people want to work from office now, because there's a kind of a the it's a mundane kind of that
Definitely.
it is not a you want to work. We are human being, we cannot sit alone and work. we
We need
we
physical
need
interaction. That's
we
true.
need physical, nothing can beat that. And we need
Right.
real interactions, right?
Right.
Real
Right. Right. Right.
conversations, not Zoom calls, not just the online meetings. So that's something also we have noticed, and that is the one
Mhm.
change. And also people have understand the importance of work life balance. That is the one thing that post COVID people have realized. And they and companies also respect that,
Mhm.
that if someone wants to take a couple of hours break during their work hours, companies are
Mm-hmm.
open to that. People know it,
Right.
it is like how much quality they are adding towards work, not the number of hours.
Mm-hmm.
If you are able to do your job in the certain amount of time, why not? So that is something,
Right.
is a one change that we have noticed. I think I would say it's a pleasant change, it's a good change.
Mm-hmm.
So companies and employees and the workforce, they both have adapted to it beautifully.
Interesting. So, do you think still there are people who are asking for work from home? Because I really think
Oh
there
yes,
shouldn't
oh
be
yeah,
any.
oh yeah, oh
They
yes,
do. Okay, that's
yeah, they do.
interesting.
There are many people, they
Okay,
don't want to get out of their house. It
right.
we
But
do come across.
do you think the performance of people actually over time falls if they're working from home, or maybe the hybrid culture is something that we need?
I wouldn't say that there isn't as such a data to talk about it. There might be some cases,
Mm-hmm.
but it can be difficult for that particular person, particular resource,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and when they are sitting alone and that there is a team working from office.
Definitely.
Yes.
Right.
So in that case, hybrid model, I would say that is more successful.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just remote. But there are people
Mm-hmm.
those who are able to manage their remote work also beautifully too. So at INT, we have a very strong HR team, and we make sure that we take care of these the challenges we might face. So we
Mm-hmm.
are already prepared for these things, and so we have taken corrective measures. We change our policies. We worked upon our processes. So yes, that but it is people still do ask for the remote to answer your question. Yeah.
Right, that's interesting. That's nice. And before we close down, can you just share some quick tips for anyone who is trying to, apply in IndusNet, or in general, if I am a job seeker, I'm looking to apply in the industry. I do not have a job presently. I'm not working anywhere. So technically,
Mhm.
my skills are stagnant somewhere. So how is it that I can get a job in the industry right now? And how long in general do you think it takes for a candidate to convert a job profile, like maybe reading the JD, to getting into the company?
Yes, I would suggest look at the job. First of all, you make your resume and cover letter,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
don't make it a too lengthy resume. Just a one
Hmm.
page resume is good enough.
Hmm.
Make a good cover letter. And if you are a professional, you need not to only be on a LinkedIn, you need to be using it at full advanced state.
Hmm.
It is like something, um, if you are not present in social media or any let's say for example LinkedIn, if a
Hmm.
recruiter is searching a candidate like you, but if you're
Hmm.
not there, how would they approach you? What is
Even
the
a
way?
fresher?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Even if a
Right.
fresher we are talking about, right? And
Hmm.
through use it, reach out to the people, see what they are posting, where they are let's say I have a one job or just two
Hmm.
jobs. I may not be taking expensive job boards and posting there. I will be just posting on my LinkedIn profile, hey, I'm hiring, I need two these people, if you're interested, please apply. So
Right.
if you're not there, if you're
Hmm.
not following, right, if you're not following INT,
Hmm.
how would you know that what skills INT is hiring for? So
Point.
follow INT, follow career page, right? Follow us
Hmm.
on LinkedIn. See that what company is posting, right? So then that is one advice. And then second, read the JD, apply properly, and
Hmm.
prepare yourself for interviews. As I said, don't be boring, be creative, learn new skills beyond your comfort area, and then showcase your skills in a positive way. And then as I said, be thankful if someone has helped you in your career journey. Why not, be don't be hesitant to pass on your gratitude to them.